the opportunity to speak this evening. And before I get started, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to be saying too much because obviously you're all very convinced how important transport is already. And in fact, so far every speaker's mentioned transport, and I'm sure our forthcoming speakers, it will be a common theme throughout. But as I speak tonight, not just on behalf of Isabel Dedring, the Deputy Mayor for Transport, who I represent, I'm also, of course, speaking on behalf of really all of us in this room who have been working extremely hard to move forward the transport agenda, but in particular the rail agenda, which is what I'm going to focus on. So the Upper Leith Valley Opportunity Area Framework sets out the transformation that we envisage seeing in this area. But this transformation is obviously only going to be possible with the transport to unlock it. And we all know all too well that some of that potential has been held back, by the lack of transport capacity and in particular the rail capacity. So we have services via Tottenham Hale, some of those being squeezed to one train an hour, or even less than that, as we've heard on Angel Road. So incidentally, it is worth saying this isn't a bashing at the existing incumbent operators. It's a victim of the way that the franchise has been set out. And of course, one of the things I'm going to be talking about is what we're going to do to address that. So I'm delighted in recent weeks that we've really been able to achieve two long-standing objectives of the Mayor. And the first of that is the Leith Valley mainline. So the £72 million package of infrastructure that's been secured for additional tracks on the Leith Valley mainline between Angel Road and Coppermill Junction with a connection to Stratford. Some of you will know this is 3 tracking, some of it you will know it's 3.5 tracking, some of you will even know it's 3/4 tracking. What I'm going to try and do tonight is dispel the myths in terms of what we're actually talking about. So this is the funded scheme. And it is, of course, a very important piece of infrastructure. The reason why it's known as 3.5 tracking is it's sort of a third tracking, a bit of a loop. And what it's going to do is by 2017, which is when we envisage having this extra capacity in place, provide a turn-up and go service every 15 minutes at some of the key stations in the Opportunity Area Framework, Northumberland Park, Tottenham Hale, and a reopened Lea Bridge station. So this service is really key for focusing on the areas that have regeneration potential around Northumberland Park and of course Meridian Water sites near Angel Road. Between them we know the sort of scale of development potential, so I'm not going to repeat the figures here. I'm sure you're all far more of an expert in those figures than I am. But it is, suffice to say, the turn up and go service really does unlock that potential. And this funding package really represents the future. It's a multi-agency, multi-corporation funding package, and obviously the bulk of it is coming from Network Rail, but the Mayor has also dedicated through the LEP and his Growing Places Fund a significant £25 million investment as well. But, and there's money coming from TfL's business plan. But it's really important to note that really we wouldn't have pushed it over the line without the help of the North London Strategic Alliance. So it isn't, it's not gone unnoticed, but it's really the effort of many of you in this room that's helped us get to the stage that we are with this scheme. But we don't want to stop there. As has been alluded to already, there are aspirations to extend capacity further up the line. Some of you may remember the 2011 Network Rail Russ study, which first mooted this particular idea of, in this document they're calling it 4 tracking. We'd like to sort of move away from that term and talk about more enhancements to Brimsdown. But what the Mayor has done is he's asked TfL to dust off that previous case and really take a good look again, taking on board everything that's in this Opportunity Area Development Framework, all the aspirations of boroughs and partners in this room, to see what we might, what case we might be able to make. And we're going to push ahead and do that so that we're in a position to take a really good case to the government in time for the autumn statement. But again, we can't do that just on our own. We're looking to you also for your support in that. Looking to the future, we may look further. At the moment, this is our current focus, but of course, looking towards the Stansted corridor, enhancements up to Broxbourne, etc. None of that will be ruled out, but just the other rail enhancement I wanted to mention in the context of mega investment is Crossrail 2. There are, of course, two options being consulted on presently, and I will, for the purposes of transparency and fairness, put up the other option, but of course, I think that you'll be more interested in knowing about this option. And this proposed route running southwest to northeast across London is potentially a major opportunity to open up and unlock further development in the Upper Lee Valley opportunity area. Now, the earliest feasible opening date for that is around about 2029, 2030, and that really does require us sort of pushing ahead on that. But if we can achieve that, and we want to take you with us on that, not only does it really help to unlock any potential longer-term overcrowding issues on the Victoria Line, it really will provide very fast direct services into the city, into the West Coast and beyond. So really the opportunities for regeneration in this area are limitless. So of course the consultation is open. There are two routes. We're keen to hear your views on either. No decision's been made on either route, but you'll be clear. You'll clearly want to make your views known. We're very keen to hear those views. If you haven't already made those views known, then please do so. The final point to make on Crossrail 2 is, of course, we're absolutely delighted that the Chancellor's indicated in the recent spending round that he's up for a discussion on this and given us £2 million worth of development work to take it forward. So this is no longer a sort of a pie in the sky thing. This is something that we've got the tools and the budget now to press ahead with. And as a recurring theme of what I'm going to say is, we need your help as well. Sort of jumped the gun a bit with this slide, but anyway, it's a bit of a diversion. The second long-standing objective that we've been able to secure, or rather the Mayor has recently, is the in-principle transfer from the Secretary of State of Transport to devolve to the Mayor and TfL responsibility for these lines and these stations. So, as you'll all be aware, TfL has a very excellent proven track record on London Overground. We completed the orbital route last year. We've got highest ever standards of customer satisfaction, highest ever standards of performance and reliability. People love the underground and the Mayor would like to see more of it. So we're absolutely delighted that we've been able to secure, in principle, the devolution of this line. There will be 23 stations upgraded and 12 of those fall within this opportunity area. So if you could picture stations such as Rectory Road, St James's Street, Turkey Street, they're all going to get the London Underground treatment, and I'll bring some pictures up to show you what that may look like. The immediate changes will be the deep cleansing, more visible start, cracking down on fare evasion, and then as the franchise progresses, we'll be having very serious conversations about frequencies and also moving forward with reliability, recognising it's not just the overground trains that run on some of those lines, so we have to work hand in hand with the other operators. So, of course, sorry, that's just another way of showing it. It's quite a good way because it kind of dovetails in with the other maps that Martin's That's another way of emphasising just the amount of rail investment that's going into this particular valley. So I think where I was trying to get to with this slide is to say there's a really good news story on rail investment. We're either there on most of it or partly there on the rest of it. So there's much to celebrate. So of course this devolution is going to put literally this area on the map, the tube map, because with underground and rail coming together as one unit, and the use of the roundel, we don't have to look very far south or across the river to see the impact that the use of the roundel has had in stations. I both mentioned the Mayor remains committed to rail devolution. He sees it as the future of rail. That's a better slide. Really shows what could be achieved. This one's at Hoxton. Probably 10 years ago, I don't know, maybe people in the room live in Hoxton, but 10 years ago Hoxton would have looked like that. And these are the sorts of images you could see at some of those stations that I've put up on there. So, in conclusion, taking these two projects together, they will help transform the Upperley Valley rail offer and Crossrail on top. It's only by getting the transport right, and it's not just about trains. I could have talked about more the gyratory, the Tottenham Hale Station. I could have talked about the cycle superhighway coming up to Tottenham. There just wasn't time to cover all of that tonight. But it's only by delivering that real transport investment that this wider vision can be realised. As a home for thousands of people living in strong, sustainable communities, as a location where businesses can thrive and create jobs and wealth, as a destination for leisure, recreation and sport. My final point is that transport is wider than just one person, the Mayor, or one authority, the GLA or TfL. All of what we've achieved today has only been possible because we've all worked together on it. So on behalf of the Deputy Mayor for Transport and the Mayor, we look forward to your continued support and collaboration as we press ahead. Thanks very much.